Hey, a huge welcome to the team. We are so thrilled to have you here. So, to get you up and running, we wanted to walk you through our cloud environment, show you where everything is, how it all connects, and how you can get started building amazing things. Let's just dive right in.
Okay, first things first. Why are we even doing all this in the cloud? Well, on the left, you can see the old school way, a traditional data center. Picture a room full of physical servers that we had to buy, install, and maintain ourselves. It was super expensive, took forever to scale up, and half the time we were paying for power we weren't even using. But the cloud, on the right, it's a whole different ballgame. It's flexible, it's scalable, and we only pay for what we use. That's what lets us move fast and build cool stuff.
And this right here, this is one of the biggest reasons why. Elasticity. See, with the old data centers, you had a fixed amount of power. If you got a sudden spike in traffic, you'd crash. And when traffic was low, you were just burning cash on idle servers. But with cloud elasticity, our resources automatically scale up or down to meet the exact demand at any given moment. It's literally like your electricity bill. You only pay for the juice you actually use. The big takeaway here, it's all about efficiency. We never have to guess our capacity needs again.
Okay, so you've got this big, powerful cloud, but how do we actually organize anything in it? Well, we're going to use an analogy that'll make it super clear. Think of setting up our cloud environment like constructing a building from the ground up. We're about to look at the master blueprint. All right, check this out. This is our blueprint. Right at the very top, you've got the organization. Think of that as the entire plot of land our company, Symbol Superstore, owns in the cloud. Then we use folders to group things together, kind of like the different floors in our building. You might have a floor for operations, one for sales, another for logistics. And finally, you have projects. These are the individual offices on each floor where the real work gets done, like building an app or running some data analysis.
Now this whole setup, the land, the building, everything, it all lives inside what we call our tenancy. And just like it says here, it's our own private, secure, dedicated slice of the cloud. The key thing to remember is this: everything we build is safely tucked away inside this boundary, our own little world.
All right, so we've got the blueprint. Now it's time for phase one, laying a solid, secure foundation. And that means we need to talk about security and who gets access to what.
So let's talk about managing access. Sticking with our building analogy, this is all about deciding who gets which keys. We need to make sure the right people can get into the right rooms to do their jobs, and, well, that they can't get into the ones they're not supposed to. The system we use for this, our main gatekeeper, is called Identity and Access Management, or IAM for short. And really, it all boils down to this super simple but powerful idea: who can do what on which resource. For instance, who could be a developer on your team? What could be editor access? And which resource could be your team's specific development project? The big takeaway is that every single decision about who can touch what is run through this exact logic. Okay, so if IAM is like the security guard at the front desk checking IDs, think of security groups as the actual locks on each and every office door. They're like a little firewall for each server, giving us really fine-grained control over what kind of network traffic can get in or out. It's just one more layer of security to protect our most important stuff. And all of this leads to what is probably the single most important rule in all of cloud security. I really want you to remember this one. It's called the principle of least privilege. Think about it. We would never hand out a master key that opens every single door in the building, right? That's just way too risky. Instead, we give you the exact key for the exact door you need to go through. So the takeaway for you is really simple. You're going to get access only to the specific things you need to do your job. Nothing more, nothing less. And this quote right here, it really sums up how we think about this. Give access based on need, not convenience. It might seem like a small thing, but it's the most critical guardrail we have to protect our data and our customers. This is absolutely fundamental to how we operate. All right, so our foundation is secure, we know who has the keys, but how do we actually pay for all this construction? Let's take a quick look at how we handled billing.
It's actually way simpler than you might think. Everything we use in the cloud has a cost, and it all gets paid for from a central billing account. The best way to think of it is as a main wallet for the whole building project. And then each of those individual offices, our projects, gets linked to that wallet to pay for their utilities, like compute power and storage.
And this whole process follows a really clear four-step lifecycle. First up, the main billing account gets created with all the payment info. Next, we link our projects to it.
That's the handshake that lets a project start using resources. Then, and this is super important, we set budgets and alerts for each project so we never get any nasty surprises on the bill. And finally, all that detailed usage data gets exported so we can analyze it, find savings, and be smart about our spending. Okay, we've covered a lot, right? The blueprint, the security, even how we pay the bills. But now let's get to the most important part. How does all of this actually affect you and your day-to-day job?
This is really where the rubber meets the road. So when you're ready to deploy some code, you won't just be sending it into the void. Nope, you'll be deploying it to a very specific project, which is basically your team's assigned office. When you need to grab some data from a database, it's your IAM permissions that act as your keycard to let you in. You'll also need to keep an eye on your application's usage to make sure it's staying inside the budget for your project. And all of this work happens inside your team's folder, keeping everything organized and tidy.
You know, really understanding this blueprint, this whole structure, that's the first step to becoming a fantastic builder here. This system isn't here to slow you down. It's here to empower you, to keep our work secure, and to give us a solid foundation to build incredible things together.
So there you have it. That's the grand tour of our cloud world. We've shown you the lay of the land, we've explained the rules of the road, and we've officially handed you the keys. The only question left is, what are you going to build first? Welcome aboard. We honestly can't wait to see what you create.